Cassie told the jury that the offs made her feel disgusting and humiliated and worthless.
She did say these offs lasted between 1 and 4 days, and it would take her an equal amount of time to get her body recovered, to rehydrate, to rest.
Well, I think we're going to learn a lot about the nature of Cassie's relationship with Diddy.
Cassie Ventura just named Christina Quorum as keeping tabs on her for Diddy.
The second thing that was discussed this morning, will the public, will the media be able to see video of these offs?
2 witnesses were called today, including a former security officer at the hotel, where Diddy is seen on video attacking Ventura brutally. You remember that video back in 2016. The prosecutors played the video. The witness testified that Diddy tried to pay him off with a giant wad of cash. The day's second witness was a male escort. This is where it really got very juicy, who says that he was paid by Diddy numerous times to have sex with Cassie while Diddy sat there in the corner and watched. He says he once saw Diddy throw a liquor bottle at Cassie and heard her in another room.
Emily Johnson actually said that Cassie did choke on the of an escort when Diddy forced this escort to allegedly her mouth. They did say inner circle numerous times, I believe, really trying to amplify the RICO charges. Diddy couldn't have done all of these crimes without his inner circle, right? Without his bodyguard, without his driver, without his assistant. They talked about alleged kidnappings. That one time he kidnapped his assistant to go and try to find Cassie when he thought Cassie was cheating. I mean, it was wild. I feel like I could go on forever, but I won't. At a certain point, wasn't able to perform for Diddy and Cassie. He got a function because of what he saw. He said he saw Diddy at one point after an encounter, drag Cassie by the hair from her computer seat all the way back to her bedroom while she was kicking and screaming and crying. And after she apologized and came out, he said that Diddy said, okay, you guys want to continue? And he couldn't perform. And that was it. From there, he could not perform after that. And he saw Diddy abuse Cassie 2 or 3 more times after that as well. And this is a muscular guy. He was 41 years old, a bit smaller, but again, he seemed incredibly affected by what he saw.
And was there, just quickly, Lauren, was there a point where he talked about, because I was trying to follow the blogs, again, it's hard, you were in there, it's difficult for us on the outside. Did he talk about Cassie at one point being under the influence to the point that she was slumped over, and Diddy still wanted him to have with her? Cassie told the jury that Diddy forced her into fuel stacks with male escorts while he watched, sometimes sitting in the corner and through tears. She said she took to numb herself, ecstasy, cocaine, and ketamine, all of it allegedly supplied by Diddy. She said the offs included as many as 4 male escorts at once and typically lasted 36 to 72 hours. The longest, she said, the longest off that she says she was forced to perform in lasted 4 days. She said they took place around the world, from New York to Miami to Spain, to even Turks and Caicos. And at every stop, Cassie said the hotel rooms were stocked by Diddy's staff with baby oil, condoms, and she says that these hotel rooms, this is disgusting, the hotel rooms were left covered in baby oil and covered in blood and covered in. Cassie told the jury that the offs made her feel disgusting and humiliated and worthless, but she said she couldn't say no because she says Diddy threatened to release videos of the offs with her.
Just before they broke for lunch, Cassie Ventura described how offs actually became a job, lasting 36 to 48 hours, the longest one lasting up to 4 days. No wonder the participants needed IV fluids after a. I'm just curious, to Lauren Cullen joining us at the courthouse, how was the jury responding?
What I will say is Cassie made a point to say that when she wasn't making music, she was actually having to, quote, recover from these offs. And again, she did say these offs lasted between 1 and 4 days, and it would take her an equal amount of time to get her body recovered, to rehydrate, to rest, to detox from these. It was really, really sad to listen to.
We'll repeat that she said on the stand. At one point, she said that a male escort had in her mouth and she actually choked on it. And it was at that point someone in the courtroom actually had to walk out of the door there while, Diddy sat at the defense table listening on here. But as she was describing these events where she said that, there were multiple male escorts that were happening at one time, these offs would happen for 2, 3, the longest 4 days at a time. And control is the word we need to talk about. That is what prosecutors really laid out. And you heard Cassie describe how every action during these offs, which were between her and male escorts, not necessarily between her and her boyfriend, Sean Diddy Combs, he sat off to the side really directing things according to her and along with what he wanted to see. But he was in control, she said, of exactly how they did everything, from the platform shoes that she needed to wear, the clothes that she needed to wear occasionally, masks, wigs, whether or not the male escort could, where he could, everything she said was controlled by him. And mind you, Brian, his children, 6 children, are in the courtroom at this point listening to all of this. And the jury was picked knowing that they needed a certain level of comfort to hear these types of descriptions. It was very emotional and really tough to hear, Brian.
Once he saw Diddy Cassie, he could no longer, perform and be engaged, because before he said even if they hadn't paid him, he was excited to be part of their world. He was enjoying that kind of activity with them. And then things started changing when he saw one time he was on the couch, Cassie was at her computer, and Diddy, he said, was in Cassie's bedroom. Now, Diddy apparently called out to Cassie to come into the bedroom, and she allegedly told him, just hold on a second, my personal information's on the computer. Now, Daniel describes being absolutely shocked when all of a sudden a liquor bottle, Diddy throws it from across the room right toward Cassie, and then he comes running towards her, grabs her by her hair, drags her into her bedroom and tells her, when I tell you to come, you don't wait, you just come when I tell you. And he says he then heard, after the doors closed, Diddy heard her yelling at her and Cassie screaming out, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And he says he was just kind of frozen in place. He didn't know what to do. And prosecutors asked him, why didn't you intervene? Why didn't you go inside? And he said, look, I know this is somebody with a lot of resources. Quite frankly, I was afraid for my life. Now, that drew a lot of objections from the defense, but the judge allowed that testimony. And he again reiterated that he was scared in that moment for Cassie, feeling like she was in a dangerous situation, but he didn't feel it was safe enough for him to intervene.
We thought what we saw in that awful video from the Intercontinental was bad, but to hear the actual graphic details of what Cassie and others endured day after day for years is just completely heartbreaking. And to hear the worker actually try to offer her aid when, she was and literally she went to him for solace, as opposed to the person who supposedly loves and cares about her. She had to jump into the arms of a worker, and he was literally like, this is not okay. You need to leave this relationship. And she did, unfortunately, what so many survivors do, which is, I'm okay, it's gonna be okay, basically I can handle this. And the reality is she really needed to get out because she was being violated and degraded in so many different ways. And my heart just breaks for her so much.
Melba, you're so right. Ours do as well. What's it going to be like today when she is perhaps called? We think that she's going to be witness number 3. We have a clip where we caught up with her lawyer outside of the courthouse on Monday. Let's take a quick look.
How is Cassie? Is she emotional? Is she feeling okay with this? Is she nervous?
She's ready.
She is ready. She's also pregnant, God bless her, and visibly pregnant too. So in the later stages of her pregnancy.
The first testimony in the trial taking jurors to Los Angeles, March 2016, in the hotel where that surveillance video was taken. The first witness, an LAPD officer who worked security at the hotel, he says he responded to a call for a woman in distress on the 6th floor.
When he got to the floor, he noticed that there was glass on the floor, that the vase and the flowers were broken.
The security guard described going back to Diddy's hotel room and standing in the doorway while Ventura grabbed her things. Inside, another man sitting at the corner of the bed.
So from the very start, the first witness brings the jury into that hallway where he said Sean Combs looked at him with a devilish stare and Cassie Ventura had a purple eye.
Sean Combs tried to offer him money, to give him money to make this go away, and he said he wouldn't accept the money.
The second witness to take the stand, Daniel Phillip, a man who said he was paid to have sex with Cassie on multiple occasions at several high-end New York City hotels while Diddy watched. The witness said he was paid between $700 and $6,000 each time.
So Mr. Phillip agreed to go to the Gramercy Hotel to do a performance for a bachelorette party. At least that's what he thought. But when he got to the hotel, to the room, that Cassie opened up the door. He did not know that was Cassie, and that she told him, well, it's my birthday and my husband wants to do something special, so can you give me a massage?
I think that will ultimately be a difficult thing for the defense to show because of all the evidence the prosecutors in the opening statement said that they had, showing that actually these women really weren't making a choice. You have the video of Cassie where, you know, Sean Combs is her striking her, dragging her out of that hallway video when she was trying to leave one of these golf sessions. That doesn't exactly look like a choice. We also heard from the prosecutors that there are text messages where one of the victims, known as Jane, is saying, I don't want to engage in these golfs. I don't want to do this. And then there are apparently also recorded calls that we are going to hear between Sean Combs and Jane, in which Sean Combs is offering her money and telling her to say that she wanted to engage in these golfs. None of those pieces of corroborating evidence sounds like these women had a choice. So I think that is going to be really critical evidence for the prosecution. And just one last point, even if there is the charges, but there are 2 charges, one for each victim, of transporting these women across state lines for the purposes of prostitution. Those charges do not require force, fraud, or coercion. So consenting adults traveling across state lines for the purpose of, if he did that, he is guilty. So these arguments about the women had a choice, they're not really a defense to these transportation for charges. I think those charges in particular will be very difficult for the defense to overcome.
Cassie in court, reportedly tearing up on the witness stand as she testifies against ex-Diddy in his trial.
It'll be interesting to see how they react and respond to the alleged victim, Cassie Ventura, because she is expecting her 3rd child and is clearly pregnant. So how jurors will kind of see that or visually how they take that into consideration, we don't know, but really they're supposed to make sure that they stay fair and impartial and pay attention to the facts, which is something even the judge warned them about before they were official jurors. The defense acknowledged that the videos of alleged cops will be shown, but that those videos, they said, didn't come from the government's investigation so much as it came directly from Cassie's phone. But they were essentially trying to raise doubt about why did she hold on to these videos, and again making this argument that this case is about love and infidelity and money. But the prosecution is saying, no, you will hear from witnesses that will tell you that they were kicked, they were punched, they were coerced to taking and to performing acts. So this is only the beginning.
Indeed, I can tell you that I got a chance to listen to her testimony inside court here behind us, and she was emotional. She broke down into tears at one point when she talked about participating in those offs. She says that she was just 22 years old, had just turned 22 when Combs first proposed to her, those fueled marathons with escorts. She says eventually, though, they became almost weekly, and that they lasted on average, as you said, about 2 to 3 days, the longest one 4 days, and that she stayed awake by that she says Combs gave to her, including ecstasy, cocaine, and She testified that those offs made her feel dirty and worthless, but that she felt like she did not have a choice but to participate because she says Combs would become violent with her. As you pointed out, she says that he would bash her in the head, kick and drag her, and that she didn't know what would happen if she didn't do what he wanted her to do. She told the jury that she tried to express her feelings about participating, but in at least one text message shown to the jury, Combs told her to make it happen anyway.
Ventura is sharing new details about her relationship with Sean Diddy Combs. While testifying against her ex in his sex trafficking trial, the pregnant singer, who is currently expecting her third child with husband Alex Fine, reveals to the jury that there was actually an overlap for when she and the late Kim Porter dated the rap mogul. In court, Ventura says, per NBC News, that she and Combs first started their physical relationship when they went on a trip to Miami. It was when they returned home that they began spending more time together, though the relationship was, quote, not public for many years. Ventura adds that Combs didn't want it to, quote, look bad, but also knew it was because of his children and personal things like his family. When she was asked who he was with at the time, Ventura replies, quote, Kim Porter. Combs and Porter, who unexpectedly died in 2018, reportedly dated on and off from 1994 to 2007. With them becoming parents to son Christian, twin daughters Delilah and Jessie, and Porter's son Quincy, whom she had from a previous relationship. Their romance ended in 2007, with her choosing to pack up all of her belongings and move out of their home while Combs was out of town. Porter has previously said to Essence magazine that she wanted it to be, quote, dramatic, adding, quote, if I pack up everything, twins and all, it means I'm out. Puffy's an action person, not a talk person. Ventura and Combs reportedly dated from 2007 to 2018, with her sharing after their romance that he was frequently violent towards the end of their relationship.
Security guards from the hotel where Diddy Cassie back in 2016 were also called as witnesses. One of these guards testified that Diddy offered him money to stay quiet about the entire thing, and he witnessed firsthand Diddy forcing Cassie to stay with him. This is also when it was revealed that Cassie was actually trying to get away from a man who was in the room, and Diddy was forcing her to have with him.
The first witness to testify was Officer Israel Flores. He was the security officer back in 2016 when we saw that now infamous recording of Sean Combs, allegedly Cassie Ventura, in that hotel hallway. We heard from him. We watched the video in its entirety from multiple angles in order to see exactly what unfolded. And as we watch this video, I want to say, by the way, everything we're about to talk about during this live shot could be perceived as disturbing materials. Just want to give our viewers a little bit of a warning here. Watching Sean Combs kick and drag and grab Cassie Ventura by her neck and by her hair over and over again. And then at one point, this Cassie walks over to a phone that's in this lobby, lobby area of their 6th floor hotel room, and she calls for this instant services, and a security guard comes up, and at that point he's able to separate them, and he walks them down the hallway towards the hotel room where they were. Cassie apparently telling the security officer that she just wants to leave, and Sean Combs reportedly telling her that she's not going to leave. And when they opened the door to that hotel room, there was another man, according to this officer, sitting in the hotel room.
A current LAPD officer, a former security guard who can lay the foundation for that video and can talk about the black eye that Cassie suffered and the fact that she wanted to leave and escape this freak off. And Combs reportedly offering him a bribe to cover it up. So I think it's a very important first witness to get that video in. In addition to the violence against Cassie, Combs broke a vase over in the hotel. So that's something that also shows the sort of violent streak, really erratic behavior, him sitting in a towel with just his socks on. So really disturbing and also graphic details by Flores, the first government witness.
The nature of Cassie's relationship with Diddy. Some of those details we've seen in prior lawsuits, but to hear her on the stand actually giving those details, reliving those moments herself. Also, you have to remember, she's very pregnant right now. So I'm gonna be curious to see how long she makes it on the stand, how she's emotionally able to weather all of these questions. And what's going to be interesting to watch is, you know, the defense from the very start in their opening statement said that she chose to be there. So I'm going to be curious to see how she responds to questions about, was this her choice or did she feel like she had to do all of these things?
Judge Arun Subramanian has decided that the soft video showing Cassie and other victims being forced to take part in acts will not be shown to the public or to the reporters. I'm not seeing any case that would suggest in any way, shape, or form that images or videos of these types of acts that are alleged to be would be required to be shown in open court when they pose the obvious risk of revictimization. He said,
The second thing that was discussed this morning, will the media be able to see video of these offs? During opening statements, we heard that the jurors are going to be able to see video of these offs. These are these encounters between, for instance, Cassie Ventura, as well as another woman, Jane, and male escorts, as well as Sean Diddy Combs. But there's an argument that only the jurors will be able to see these. So we'll have to see what happens. The judge is taking that under advisement. Right now, what's taking place is the continuation of the cross-examination of a man by the name of Daniel Phillip. Julie, he is the male stripper that was hired by, he said, Cassie to engage in acts.
Well, Diane, prosecutors have wasted no time getting right into the alleged that Cassie Ventura says she endured for years. Ventura telling jurors, quote, he would bash my head, knock me over, drag me, kick me, stomp me in the head when I was down. She also got into the nature of those so-called offs, saying that they involved hiring an escort and they performed under the direction of Combs, saying that they happened so frequently it eventually became a job for her to set them up. Ventura said she did not feel she had much of a choice but to participate, that she feared that Combs would retaliate or potentially blackmail her if she did not. And she's had at times to take, she's taken deep breaths, pausing her testimony, Combs appearing to be listening pretty passively with his hands in his lap at the defense table there. Now, remember, this is the first time that they are seeing each other face to face since 2018. You can imagine that emotions are very high in the courtroom right now. And this is expected to be a very lengthy testimony. Prosecutors bracing the courtroom for what's to come as she continues to testify, including videos.
Cassie Ventura just named Christina Korm as keeping tabs on her for Diddy. Cassie Ventura is giving her testimony against Diddy right now in his trial, and she just name-dropped Diddy's ex-chief of staff, Christina Korm. Cassie Ventura started her testimony about her early relationship with Diddy, and she even admitted at the very beginning she took E without knowing because it was in a Gatorade bottle. Then she went on to describe the that would start happening to her and how Diddy would keep tabs on her. The government asked Cassie Ventura, how did Diddy keep tabs on you? And she said, we didn't live far apart. He'd send security to come find me or a trusted assistant. Like who? David James or Christina Korm. And we know that Diddy's ex-chief of staff, Christina Korm, has been named in multiple civil lawsuits with Diddy. So the fact that Cassie Ventura just listed her literally sent chills all the way up my spine. Because back in 2018 and prior, during Cassie and Diddy's relationship, I didn't even know if Christina Korm at this time would have any part in any of this. Cassie Ventura points out at this time, Christina Korm was only an assistant for Diddy. She wasn't even Diddy's chief of staff during this time. And I already know that this will not be the last that we hear about Christina Korm. I just didn't know it was happening this early on. Diddy's ex-assistant, Philip Pines, who was on the fall for Diddy, admitted that he testified to the grand jury against Diddy, and he showed us so many pieces of evidence in his documentary interview. He showed text messages between him and Christina Korm of Christina Korm asking for all of these different off supplies.
Sean Diddy Combs' trial backing out? Victim number 3, as she's called, was set to testify against the music mogul. The name of victim number 3 was going to be revealed when she took the stand, but the woman has apparently gone missing, and prosecutors say they've been unable to reach her.
People just get nervous, and this person could just be nervous and just has had second thoughts.
If the prosecutor can't find this witness, how might it affect the case?
Look, I don't think it's going to have a tremendous effect. The prosecution is going to call a number of alleged victims. So look, this is just one less.
Someone else is also getting cold feet. A juror sent an email to the judge asking to be removed from the panel for issues of personal well-being.
Day 2 of testimony in the case against Diddy has just wrapped, and Cassie told the court that he coerced her into having adult relations with escorts. It gets worse. She said Diddy even ordered those escorts to on her, laying bare the depth of the alleged misuse. Now, prosecutors have called one of the escorts to the stand, and hotel staffers are stepping forward, claiming Diddy paid them to keep quiet. Why did Cassie break down in tears during her testimony, and what did the escort reveal about Diddy's actions? Prosecutors allege Diddy's misuse went far beyond what's already been described, claiming he enlisted everyone from his chief of staff to his bodyguards in a sweeping cover-up. But listen to this. They say he bribed hotel staff, and when Cassie tried to escape, he even had her kidnapped. The treatment he demanded was reportedly so depraved that the very escort he had hired refused to take part. All of these claims remain allegations, still to be proven in court. Diddy allegedly showed zero regard for Cassie's well-being, dragging and punching her whenever she refused to participate in his days-long off sessions, prosecutors say. It gets even more disturbing. The misuse was so relentless that Cassie reportedly needed IV fluids just to combat the exhaustion. According to the complaint, the very first time Diddy introduced into the mix, he spiked her drink with ecstasy without her knowledge, only confessing after the marathon session had ended. All of these claims remain allegations that have yet to be proven in court. Cassie was only 22 when, according to prosecutors, Diddy began forcing her into field-off marathons that ran anywhere from 1 to 4 days. But that's not all. During these sessions, Diddy allegedly made her have adult relations with a rotating lineup of escorts while he watched and often filmed every moment. Cassie says the ordeals happened several times a month, were almost always recorded, and left her so depleted she needed weeks to recover. These claims remain allegations until proven in court. Things allegedly got so extreme that even the escorts began worrying about Cassie's safety. But listen to this. After David, one of the escorts Diddy had hired, saw Diddy strike Cassie when she couldn't keep performing, he said he was so disturbed, he refused to continue with the off. All of these details remain allegations until proven in court. Diddy allegedly sat back and watched while Cassie had adult relations with paid escorts, shelling out $4,000, 0 cents for each session. But here's the twist. Cassie was the one who had to call the escort and even ask him to on her, not out of desire, but out of fear of what Diddy might do if she refused. She says every attempt to get away was met with Diddy hunting her down, using his employees and bodyguards to keep her under his control. All of these claims remain allegations until proven in court. Text messages entered into evidence show Diddy pressuring Cassie to join his offs, leaving little doubt, at least in the prosecution's eyes, about who was calling the shots. But listen to this. One of today's witnesses was a female escort Diddy had hired, and she says that after the lawsuit hit his desk, he phoned her, offering cash if she'd testify. She'd never been coerced. She secretly recorded that conversation, and the prosecution just played it for the jury. All of these details remain allegations until they're proven in court. Cassie broke down on the stand while explaining how Diddy was essentially rent her out to other men. It gets worse. She testified that whenever exhaustion set in during those 2 or 3 day offs, Diddy shoved cocaine, marijuana, and ecstasy at her to keep her awake. And if she tried to resist, he allegedly lashed out with violence and rage. These claims remain allegations until proven in court. Cassie told the court that Diddy was already cheating on his longtime partner, Kim Porter, while secretly dating her, and she was only 19. But that's not all. At nearly 40, Diddy was almost twice Cassie's age, a gap the prosecution says highlights the power imbalance at the center of these allegations. As always, these claims remain unproven until the trial concludes. Security guards from the Miami hotel where Diddy allegedly Cassie in 2016 were next to testify, and their accounts add yet another layer to the prosecution's timeline. But here's where it gets even more damning. One guard told the jury Diddy slipped him cash in exchange for silence, describing how he personally saw Diddy block Cassie from leaving the suite. According to that witness, Cassie was desperately trying to escape a man inside the room, when Diddy forced her back and ordered her to have adult relation with him. An allegation that underscores the coercion prosecutors say ran through every off. All of these details remain allegations until proven in court. Cassie is only days away from giving birth. But listen to this. She still showed up in court to testify against Diddy, underscoring just how determined and courageous she really is. Judge Aaron Subramanian has ruled that the so-called off video, footage showing Cassie and other alleged victims being forced into adult relations, will stay sealed, unavailable to reporters or the public. But listen to this. He stressed from the bench that airing the clip would only re-traumatize those involved and isn't necessary for a fair trial. I see no precedent requiring alleged SA images to be shown in open court when they pose an obvious risk of re-victimization, the judge explained. Diddy allegedly weaponized his own staff to keep constant tabs on Cassie, she testified, naming trusted aides Christina Coram and Neil Dominic as the eyes and ears who track everything from his schedule to his moods. It gets creepier. Cassie said she confided personal details to Coram only to have that information funneled straight back to Diddy, who then ordered his security guard R. Rock to punish her whenever he was displeased. According to Cassie, those punishments ranged from having her car or apartment keys yanked to losing jewelry on a whim, whatever Diddy felt like seizing in the moment. All of these claims remain allegations until proven in court. Diddy may be under a glaring spotlight, yet prosecutors say he still hasn't shaken his old habits. But that's not all. Several key witnesses have suddenly gone missing, stoking fresh concerns about intimidation and obstruction. These claims remain allegations until proven in court. As more survivors step forward and each new testimony grows, even more disturbing, the big question is no longer just what happened, it's how deep the rot goes and how many people helped Diddy cover it up for so long. But here's the thing. We're tracking every twist and turn, and we won't stop until all the facts and every accomplice are brought to light. So if you want real-time updates on a story that's now about holding power accountable, hit like, smash that subscribe button, and turn on notifications. Stay tuned.